All right, so welcome. I hope you guys are all in the right place. This is Realmworks 101. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I'm Joe. That was Liz, my wife. I'm on the Realmworks team. I do user interface, user experience, feature and functionality design, Windows UI and web development, QA, data structure design, basically everything. So if something is wrong, it's probably my fault.
Thanks, Joe.
But be nice. So that just gives you some background on me. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with PowerPoint for 2 hours or an hour and 40 minutes now. Just a few slides. I just want to give you the general overview before we dive in to the delicious meaty demo. Also, at the end, I'm going to leave time for QA. I'll probably do an hour or so. You guys can feel free to ask questions, derail me all you want. We'll try to keep it sort of on track to cover all the important stuff, but it's not going to be totally on script. So who's Realmworks for? Primarily tabletop role players. If you don't know what that is, you might be in the wrong place. I've seen lots of people who are like, is this a video game? No, it's not. I say primarily because I've seen some people who are writing scripts for various things, movies, TV, books, who also find it useful. So if you're one of those minority, you're cool, you can stay. It's for game masters and players. So if you're a game master primarily, or only a player, or maybe you do a little bit of both, there's going to be something in it for each of you, basically. It's not just a game master tool, the players get some goodies as well. In terms of game masters, whether you're sort of you build your own custom worlds from the ground up, or you strictly run published adventure material, or maybe you're in between, you do a little of both, take the published adventure, add your own little unique twist to it. Realmworks caters to that whole spectrum. Also, I've been talking for quite some time, so if I need a little water, please forgive me. So what is Realmworks? What does the tool actually do for you? So it's for world building, like I mentioned. It's also an in-play aid. So it's not just something you do by yourself without your players. It actually gives you some features and tools that actually help you while you're playing the game, whatever game that is. I suppose now would be a good time to mention, Realmworks is game system and genre neutral. So you might see the background of my slides here and think, ooh, maybe this is only for fantasy. Don't worry, sci-fi, all good, pulp, modern, horror, whatever you want. Also useful for campaign tracking. This includes, what have my players done? What have they learned? When did they learn it? All that sort of good stuff that is usually really hard to keep track of and no one remembers next session. It's also a content sharing tool, and I mean this in a number of ways. It lets you share your realm, your world, different aspects of it in play with your players, so it's not just you telling them about it, although we really like you telling them about it because that's traditional role playing. It's good stuff. It also lets you, show some aspects of your world.
Do the players also need to have Realmworks in order to share the content?
No, we will get to that. There are ways that your players don't have to buy or use anything.
Okay.
It can be just you, the GM. It'd be nice if they would pitch in, though, and split the cost, right?
We know how that works.
Yeah, I'm a GM too. But there's also other ways that we can share content, right? So eventually we'll be talking about other ways. So what isn't Realmworks? Realmworks isn't a virtual tabletop. Virtual tabletops, we all know them. Some of us love them, some of us don't, some of us use them anyway. But Realmworks is something new. Realmworks isn't something that's going to track where the goblin is on a grid during combat. We think there's good tools out there for that already, and we're a small team, and they're usually small teams, and rather than have us reinvent their wheel and have them reinvent our wheel, we're just going to put both wheels on the car, right? It's also not a map creator. We do use maps, so the maps are an integral part of Realmworks. We don't have tools for making the art because artists like to use Photoshop, or if you're like me, MS Paint. What are you gonna do? There's also campaign cartographer, things like that. The way Realmworks does maps, you can create the art for the map in whatever program you want. You import the image, and then we layer smart functionality on top of it, and we'll get into what all that stuff is. It's not a character builder. We've got Hero Lab for that. We do integrate with Hero Lab though. So if you build characters in Hero Lab, you can import their portfolios to your NPCs in Realmworks.
How closely will Realmworks be integrating with Hero Lab?
There's some light integration right now, and since we own both endpoints, over time it's just going to get better and better, especially as Realmworks soft. It'll be more and more attractive for us to work on, rather than just new features in Hero Lab, actually integration features between them. I've got a number of these on that. We can talk about that a little bit more maybe in the QA.
How well does it integrate with something like D20 Pro Tabletop?
Right now, we don't have any integration specifically with virtual tabletops. We are sort of in talks with them. A lot of them are open to the idea, but other things are currently taking priority. We can talk a little bit more about that later. Realmworks also isn't a wiki or a web page. You may have seen some screenshots, maybe seen some videos, and thought, oh geez, that looks like a lot like the wiki that I use for my campaign, or the website that I tried and failed to use because it was too much work to maintain. We're specifically building Realmworks to alleviate some of the concerns that people who want to do this kind of stuff have and have tried and failed. We don't want to basically give you another tool that's just has all the same problems as a wiki. It's also not a duck, in case that wasn't obvious. So why would you use Realmworks as a tool? There's other stuff out there, like you could use paper and pencil, just your own notebook. You could use a wiki, you could use a web page. I believe there's other campaign management tools out there on the web and whatnot. Realmworks gives you tools to immerse and engage your players. That means both at the table, the in-play stuff I talked about, and then there's also functionality that will allow your players to engage with the game away from the table, which is something that there isn't a whole lot of right now. Players come to the game and what happened 3 months ago? What's this guy's name? I don't even remember where we're going. And if you were interested, what would you do? Bother your GM? Call him up. Hey, what was that thing we did? What was his name? What was his history? Tell me all about him. The GM's got stuff to do. You can't just harass him all day. Realmworks also lets you build a richer world, more memorable world in a lot of ways. Right now, with sort of the traditional tools, you're limited in the amount of complexity, the amount of the scope that you can have in your world, because you can sort of only fit so much in here. At least I can. And Realmworks gives you a way to expand that horizon and manage way more stuff. Richer NPCs, richer stories. The history of the wars between the various kingdoms in your realm, and the ability to summon it all up during play when you need it. Session prep takes forever. We pretty much all hate it, I think. Or at least, just sort of it's a necessary evil. And Realmworks helps you streamline session prep. There's a number of features that we have that make this possible, and we'll get into what some of those are in a little bit. Also, it's easy to get started. Realmworks, right now, I'm working on this, is sort of intimidating to look at, but it's very easy to get started. You want to create an NPC, it's basically one button and you're ready to go. But we also, a major goal of developing Realmworks is we didn't want to build sort of the Fisher-Price. Yes, it's easy to do some basic stuff, but for any serious GM, you can't do what you want. Rob is like the epitome of power user, and he is at the helm of this, so it is massively powerful and flexible if you need it. So what does Realmworks actually give you that lets you get to those lofty goals of engagement and immersion and streamlined session prep? Realmworks has a new technology called Fog of World. This allows you to reveal everything to your players as they play. Players do not learn everything about a particular NPC or city or whatnot, the moment they meet them. They learn over time that, well, the Duke is a vampire. Nobody knows it. Yes, he's a vampire, but he's also like a closet vampire. He's, doesn't like that he sucks everyone's blood and he's trying to reform or something like that. And that his secret lair is in the basement of the cathedral. Those are secrets that you reveal to your players over time, and they may miss some. And Realmworks helps you handle that sort of thing throughout your story. It also applies to everything, so not text, also your maps, locations on those maps. Basically everything is incrementally revealable. Visualization. Realmworks gives you tools to bring your world to life for your players. So We're talking, showing portraits and pictures of monsters, interactive maps where you can progressively reveal areas, point out key locations with map pins, graph out a family tree with an overlay of how they feel about each other, who hates who. That's the sort of things we're talking about here. A negotiation scenario, your players are trying to get an edge. They can ask you to pull up the royal family and see which relationship can we leverage. How can we sort of Game of Thrones this to our advantage? Everything is connected in Realmworks. You may have seen videos or pictures with text links, but we are more than a web page, more than a wiki. Everything can link together. Maps can link into text content. Text content can link into plot diagrams, and so on. And then sharing. So I mentioned this earlier. We have multiple modes of sharing. At the table, we have what's called the player view, which will allow your players to see sort of a sanitized view that only has the things you've revealed to them, while you get the GM master view that has all the secrets listed out in the text, the full maps, everything. In addition to sharing, we also have, you guys may have heard of our cloud service, which allows you to sync your realm up to our cloud server. And then if a player wants to get Realmworks Player Edition, which is $10 at our booth, to their computer and browse it outside of the game. They only get what you've revealed, though, so there's no worries about them getting any spoilers or figuring out how to defeat any of the enemies or puzzles that you have. Customization is another key cornerstone of Realmworks. I mentioned that we wanted to give you power if you want it. We set up things in a way that we think is useful for most GMs. If you want to go your own way, everything is customizable, and we'll get into that in a little while. So what's coming? I want this to be in everybody's view so that if you're like, well, does it do this? And well, then you know. Player Edition is currently in beta. We've got our beta GMs sort of trading realms with each other, inviting each other as players, checking things out. They're doing that right now. It's going to be the first thing that we release commercially when we get back from Gen Con. The content market. So I mentioned a little bit about our cloud service. The vision for the future is that you can either, if you're a GM who likes to run pre-made content, go on the content market, grab the latest adventure or adventure path from a great publisher, bring it down to your realm. You don't have any work to do for entering it. You just start at chapter 1 and play. Or if you want, you can customize it to your heart's content, add what you want, take out what you want. Or if you're the world builder type, we want you to be able to share your whole world or parts of it on the content market, either for free or even public, sort of self-publish, or where you get a cut. Also, web access is on the horizon. I'll be working on that quite a bit over the next few months. Web access is going to start as a simple free tool that will allow anyone who puts their realm on their players will be able to use the web client to access information for free. So players won't even have to, they'll just create a free account and log in and be able to browse your realm on their iPad or their Linux desktop or anything with a browser, basically. Over time, we're going to be increasing the power of the web client such that, hopefully someday, you'll be able to create a whole realm directly from the web client. So what else? Just to knock a few quick ones off in case you guys are wondering, this is in no specific order. Individual player reveal. If you guys already know a little bit about the reveal system, right now you know that it's the whole party, all the players at once. The groundwork is in place such that Realmworks can reveal to individual players, and only that one player or whoever gets to know the information. That's on the horizon. Calendars. This is a feature that's been in beta, and it works, but it needs some cleanup, and it is on the horizon. And then print and export. People have been asking about that, and it is coming at some point. So, let's do this.
I actually do have one question
Sure.
about a feature. So right now you can specify, fonts and different font settings pretty much anywhere you want.
Right.
Which is really cool. But is there a way to, or is there a future feature ahead to set like a global setting?
That's something that's definitely on our hit list. There's a technological impediment that we have right now that we may need to solve anyway to make something else work. So it's definitely on our radar. We're just not quite sure how we're going to tackle it yet. Good question, though. So while this is warming up, any quick questions that I can answer?
One of the things I'm curious to see, obviously I think your laptop's better than mine, but I notice when I click on a link, it's sort of slow to go between. And if you want to jump around a lot, it's sort of annoying.
We're definitely working on performance. There's some things that we know are big bottlenecks that we have a solution in mind for. Performance is tricky because you can spend a lot of time optimizing the wrong thing and it doesn't really make anything faster. But we think we have one of the major causes identified and are putting stuff into place that should hopefully be in one of the next releases after Gen Con. But it's going to be an ongoing concern. I don't want to take too many questions right now. Let's just get started a little bit. I promise there'll be a lot of time at the end. Okay. So, like I mentioned, RealmWorks gives you all the tools you need to manage everything in the campaign. We're looking at an NPC right now. This is from, Rob's actually entering in all the Rise of the Runelords content. It's an adventure path from Paizo. We're currently working on a license with them to get extra content in our store. So I mentioned earlier that everything in RealmWorks is linked together. You'll notice that there are all sorts of links available in the text for this NPC. But these links are better than the links you might see on a web page or in a wiki, because most of these are created automatically by RealmWorks. RealmWorks is smart enough to detect names that you've used in the past, like, say, for instance, the city of Sandpoint. So anytime you use the name Sandpoint in the body of some NPC or some other topic is what we call them, it will offer to automatically create links for you. Additionally, when players see this content, if you haven't revealed one of these particular topics, for instance, the Lost Coast or the farmlands, they won't see them as links. They'll just see them as plain text. So if they don't know that the farmlands is an important location, it's up to them to discover. They can't metagame it and say, ooh, a link, let's go to the farmlands. I'll bet there's something there. And RealmWorks handles that automatically for you. So when the players see the content, it's just taken out.
It changes it as soon as the players see the content.
Sorry?
As soon as the players are revealed the content, it changes it.
Yes, and it gets handled automatically for you. So just as an example, so I've mentioned sharing content with your players. So let's say I want to share just a little bit of information with them on the town of Sandpoint. So with every piece of content in RealmWorks, whether it's text or a map or a plot, you can show it in what we call the player view. And the player view, this is the GM preview. Oh, we've got a pretty map. Why don't we show that too? This lets the GM, what you're seeing is my view, arrange things in a way that works best for him or her. And then I'm going to switch to the player view now. So this is the no spoilers view. The players can see what's going on. They can see where they are on the map. You can bring up an image and put it in here. And you'll notice that Lost Coast, I haven't revealed that yet to the player, so there's no link there. I didn't have to do any work for that, though. Varisian Gulf is a revealed topic, so players know ocean in the world, and it automatically gets highlighted for that. There's multiple ways to use player view. I'm using the simplest way, sort of the simplest way. I do have a projector here. Since what you're seeing is my view, if you only have your laptop, you can basically use your laptop as the GM view, then switch to player view, thank you, and show your players the player view for the map or picture that you want to show them. So you don't need any extra equipment. Hold on one second. If you happen to have a secondary monitor or projector, TV in the living room, what have you, we've even experimented with some apps that let you use your tablet as a second monitor. They're a little flaky, a little better on iPad than they were on Android, but you can even use that. That's a third-party app, so it's not ours. You can have your GM view and do all the things you need to do. Look up all the different hidden things from your players, and still have the player view running for them at all times.
So multiple displays work.
Yes, multiple displays is like a primary way of using things. You don't have to use multiple displays if you don't have one, or you don't want to invest in one. That's okay. If you're using multiple displays like that, or even if you're not, we've seen a lot of people using for remote play, Skype screen sharing or any free screen sharing app. You can, to remote players, just share the player view if you've got it on the second monitor, and they can see what your local players see. So that's always good. That's just a little bit about player view and how that works. There was a question over here, I think?
It's along those same lines. So right now you have a laptop hooked up to a projector. If we were gaming with you right now, you could project the player view on the wall while you look at the GM view on your laptop.
Yes.
How do you specify that in?
Oh yeah, that's really easy. I can show that to you. I don't know that I'll be able to actually show you because I guess I could turn everything around. But basically, I've got it set up right now in Windows where it's mirrored. But if you set it up to extend, where you get two monitors.
Hotkey for that is Windows D.
Oh, thanks.
Or P. Windows P.
So I don't want to do this right now because I don't want to mess up potentially the recording. But once you change it to be extend displays, you actually get a second display in this list, and you can just pick it.
Gotcha.
And then that's where the window appears.
Gotcha.
Oh, very nice.
One quick question. While we're on links, are links backfilled once you've added new information?
Great question. Yes. Currently, right now, let's say you create an NPC and you mention a character you haven't created yet in that NPC's description. You later then create that second NPC. If you visit the first NPC, Realmworks detects all the links that should be there and then offers to create them. We're also working on, at some point in the future, another on the horizon thing, is a way to just scan your whole realm for any links that need to be backfilled and just sort of bulk process them all.
Can you remove a link? Like, let's say I have two NPCs named Joe.
Yes, I don't want to get too deep into that, but there's multiple different ways Realmworks lets you disambiguate between, the various John Smiths in your realm. Okay, so that was a little bit of text content, and don't look too closely at my notes here. What else do we need to talk about?
Assume the audience.
Let's get the spoilers for the session.
There you go. So we talked a little bit about links, and maps are no exception. So this is some beautiful artwork that someone created. Realmworks, like I said, layers smart functionality on top of it. So you can reveal areas of the map that you want your players to see. It's a little easier when the building isn't on a weird angle. We're actually coming out with a feature at some point in the future that will allow you to draw specific areas and pre-mark them for reveal so that weird shapes are easier to do during play. But you can paint areas down the hallway here. And then when your players see this, oops, yes, I must reveal the map. Let's do that. Oh, and of course, this topic isn't revealed yet. We need to do that. And it's a single click to reveal stuff, so that's nice and easy. Oops, I removed the wrong thing. Want to reveal the map, not the topic. There we go. So one of the things you'll notice is that this map is actually cropped. So we don't have, the big dark area off to the right. Gee, I think we go right. We crop it as best we can. Now there's limits to that. They can still tell that there's black space between these two areas, but it's better than it could be. You'll also notice that only revealed pins will show up. Again, this is the GM preview, but this is what player view looks like. So maps are not an exception to Fog of World in the slightest.
Question?
Sure.
if you have a huge map and the players are only in a small section, are they going to get a huge black square with a little bit revealed, or are they just going to see the part that they know and they're not going to get a hint?
Yeah. So like I said, this is, so you'll notice that this is cropped. There's no like, there's no. I mean, you can zoom out, but that's just scaling things. There's no way for the players to tell that this isn't just a really tiny map. The map will actually be able to expand an area if it's very large.
So they can zoom out and pick up the size of it.
No, there's no way to tell just by zooming how big or small a map is. I think I saw back there.
Okay, you said everything can link together, so does that mean like you can click on a room and it'll bring up the encounter?
I was just about to show that. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So let's say, here at A1 is the display room. I want to see what that's all about. I click on the pin, and I get to see what's in the display room. Now this is content we're currently working on putting in, so it's pretty sparse right now. But as we fill this out, as we fill in the adventure content, there will be more stuff to see in all the various rooms. Sometimes rooms just aren't that interesting. They have one line of description, and that's all there is, and that's fine. But you can also have whole encounters in a room. Another way that you can use maps. So you'll notice I'm using the back and forward buttons. Realmworks behaves a lot like a browser. You get multiple tabs. You can spawn new tabs to keep track of things. You get history. I can go back to any point in my history. I can go to the home page, which is a page you can sort of customize with whatever welcome messages you want. So it's very, very familiar, very similar, very much like a browser. So if you use a browser, most of you probably do, you'll be at home. Another cool way to use, I'll get to you in just a minute. Another cool way to use linking in Realmworks, and this applies to more than just maps again, is using them for navigation. So we like lists of content. Lists are cool, but what if we could use geography to navigate our realm? So now I can use this map to bring up, what's the next encounter? Hey, we're in room, A1. I can click on that and get to that encounter. Hey, we're going to explore A5, the servants' quarters. Now we're exploring A5. I don't need to find those rooms in the list during play, or shuffle them around with my stack of index cards or whatever I'm using to keep track of things. I can now navigate the realm geographically, just like my players are in the actual game world. So it's very easy for someone to say, what's in the next room? You just click the pin.
Is the room number?
Sorry, there was a question over here I wanted to get back to.
Yes. Let's say I got a teleporter between one end of the map and the other, but I don't want to reveal to the players that they're still on the same map. Can you handle that?
That's a good question. There's probably a number of ways that you could handle that.
Okay.
It could be that you split it into two maps, even though it represents the same area.
Right. Okay. No, I can think of a couple workarounds.
Yeah, there's a couple workarounds. That's a little more advanced. That would probably be. Are you going to Rob's tips and tricks?
Yes.
Okay, that would probably be a good question to ask him. I could probably answer it, but I don't want to take like 10 or 15 minutes for that right here. Or afterwards, if you want to talk to me, we can work something out. All right. So other content in Realmworks. We've sort of seen text content and the linking and automatic linking that it provides for you. You may have seen a few of these little yellow boxes. These are what we call GM directions. This allows you to reveal a particular snippet of information and still have a little hidden note for yourself that the players don't ever see. This is great for putting things like, what's the knowledge check DC to find this information out, or, if the players, assassinated the Duke, this happens. If they save him, it doesn't. The players should never really know what those, basically the strings behind the scenes were. So you can reveal the information without revealing the note to yourself. Realmworks also supports a really feature called truth levels. So you can mark something as untrue. It might be a little hard to see on the projector right now, but it gets a little purple border. And that purple border also doesn't get revealed to the players. They never see it on the player view. If they sync your realm, it's just for you. So they can get information revealed to them that is totally false, and you can lead them down all sorts of dark alleys and following red herrings. Lots of fun. And it also supports half-truths too. which is a great way to use GM directions of like which part of it is true and why, what's the story behind it. Links to maybe, here's why it's only half true that the Duke is a vampire, because he's really a polymorphed vampire, or whatever. Because of his rival, who was a wizard. Just wanted to note those couple things there. So other main content in Realmworks. We've been over text, we've been over maps. Let's talk about plots.
When you're doing the text, you just break it into whatever bullet level you want to give to the players? Is that
Yes. So the way Realmworks handles text content is with what we call snippets. Snippets are the little individually revealable bits. If you want a player or players to learn a big paragraph at a time, maybe it's the backstory of the realm that anyone who's a citizen would know. You don't have to chunk it out into 100 little segments. You can just say backstory, boom. Reveal that one thing. You don't need to painstakingly break it up. But for really complex scenarios, you can break things up very small. Who learned what, when, why, by who told them, all that stuff. You can break it down to that level if that stuff's important for your particular scenario.
Is that done with paragraphing? So if you paragraph, it'll make a snippet. Paragraph,
You
make
can.
a snippet.
Why don't I go through that just a little bit? So you can actually do both. Like, let's say I wanted a paragraph, but I don't want to break it into a snippet. You can do that. That's fine. That's still one snippet. You can have all the formatting inside of a snippet that you want. You can throw a whole table in the middle of there. You can throw in a bunch of formatting, a bullet list. Here, why don't I do that? Throw a table in there, just for kicks. I'm not putting anything interesting in there, but we can format some stuff. And that's all just a single snippet. If I want to, I'm like, you know what? They should really learn this last part separately. Single keystroke makes a new snippet. It's Control-Enter. You can also do it with the mouse, but it's faster with just Control-Enter.
What's the mouse gesture for it?
There's no gesture. It's in the menu. Basically, just place the cursor and then split.
Split. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. So that's just a really, really brief intro to how you can format things and how easy it is to add in content.
Can you recombine snippets?
Yep. So let's say, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Hotkey is Control-M. Hotkey is Control-M. Hotkey is broken? Or am I missing a key? Well, apparently that hotkey is broken. This is a beta build. That's been working for quite some time. Well, okay, apparently the mouse one works. That's interesting. I'll have to. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah.
Why that's broken.
This is a real demo.
Right.
What would happen if only half of that was revealed?
Sorry?
What would happen if only half of that was revealed?
I have no idea. No, I should. I'm pretty sure that whatever you're merging it to is what it. Basically, if you've got a revealed snippet and you're merging non-revealed content into it, the non-revealed content takes on where it's getting revealed to. If it's a non-revealed snippet and you've got revealed content, that revealed content becomes part of the concealed snippet.
So parent gets child, the child gets
Yeah.
parent attributes.
Yes, I believe that's what happens.
Right now, though, if one of your players discovers information, do the other players learn it automatically, or can it just show that only that player knows it?
So I mentioned that in the on the horizon. That's individual player reveal. It's something that the underlying engine supports, so it's not something we have to like tear the code apart to make work. We just need to wait. Basically, we need to get some time to work on it and then expose it to you guys via the interface. It becomes a little more complicated because it's easy to click just one button to reveal things. It's really nice and easy. Once you've got, which of my 10 players, because some GMs have really big player groups, well, I want these 3 people, but not this guy to learn information. It becomes a little bit more of a usability challenge at that point. So we're heading that direction, but we're not quite sure how we're going to handle that visually and from a sort of workflow and user experience perspective. The engine supports it fully, though.
The reason I ask is my group is a cutthroat player versus player kind. So they may not tell the secret to
Got
each
it.
other if they can profit off.
Got it. It's
Right.
definitely something we're going to be supporting. Let's get the plots because I wanna get to that stuff. Just to briefly show you guys a little bit of that. Let's go to the storyboard, and here's just an example of a plot diagram. So what this lets you do is each of these little plot points or nodes, if you're a graph theorist, is like this is a scene. This is an encounter, and you can click on it and go to that encounter, and you know we don't have a map for it yet, but we will at some point. It's got the setup, maybe a portfolio, your lab portfolio for all the monsters in the encounter, a picture for the encounter, basically any of the content that a topic can have. Well, it is a topic. Now you can stick a topic into one of these plot points. You can have all sorts of different arrangements of what goes where, what are the possible different branching paths through the story. If your players do something unexpected, it's really easy to add something on the fly, like did something. And say, all right, well, after the trouble with the Rusty Dragon, things got a little crazy. So there you go. Also, plot points are revealable. There's actually a bug in the beta build right now. It hasn't been like that for a long time. That when we reveal this to the players, I think it shows everything, and it shouldn't. But the way it works is it actually just cuts all of the plot points off of the chart that the players don't have, and they only see a chart as though those hadn't existed. It even relays things out so that the players don't get like, well, wait a minute, what's that hole there? Did we miss something? Let's go back and see if we can figure out what's happening there. So again, it's everything is revealable, everything's linked. Just like I can even navigate my realm with this plot. So I can have the plot in the navigation area, and we started the Desecrated Vault. We're going to go through that, and then from Basking in the Glory, we're going to go to Trouble with the Rusty Dragon, and we can handle that encounter. And then after that, we're going to do there's nothing yet, do something crazy. But let's well, we could add something there if we wanted to. We won't do that right now though. But basically, everything is linked. Everything's revealable. You don't have to use all of these features when you play either. Some GMs will find it immensely useful to have the map up for navigation, like I showed you earlier, and some GMs won't. Some GMs would rather use the plot for navigation or just the list for navigation. It's sort of up to your particular play style, your particular organization style. Again, this is where we want to give you power and flexibility to just handle things the way you want.
Can you bind reveals to plot points? Like, for example, after we go to the Rusty Dragon, then this, and this will be revealed?
Oh, that's a good question. There's no conditional reveal.
Okay.
It's all manual. You can set certain things up in advance, which is nice. Like, I can keep an encounter revealed, but pre-reveal certain parts of it, ahead of time. Like, here's all the setup information. Maybe, once the players hit this, they're going to learn the basics. You can do all that in your prep beforehand, and then when it comes time to actually hit the encounter, you just click the main reveal, and everything is now available to the players. Conditional reveal, I think, would be cool, but really complicated. There's a lot of logic that you could have there, like reveal this if this, but not this. We're talking logic puzzles here, basically. Which we may add at some point in the future if you find a really strong use for it. But we also don't want to overwhelm people with too much. There might be something, and there's always the small team, lots of features problem where, like, even if we decided that's pretty cool and we could hide it somewhere that wouldn't intimidate people, it's also, well, do we do that, or do we work on maybe people want to be able to print out portions of their realm or things like that? So it's always trade-offs. Always trade-offs. Plots can be shown in player view as well. Like I said, there's a bug right now with the beta build where it's showing all the plot points. Shouldn't be doing that, but all of the content is revealable in player view. There's nothing that you have to just sort of say, well, it looks like this. This is what it says, but I can't show it to you because Realmworks can't do that. All the content can be shown in the player view. Plots can also get more complex if you need them to. So this plot is actually a subplot of a larger plot, Burnt Offerings, which is sort of the overarching plot. I can actually even use my main plot to navigate to see my subplots. So here's the main plot. You know, I'm checking out the Swallowtail Festival, which is a simple linear, you know, maybe it's a 4-hour ordeal. And then, you know, next we go to, you know, what's local heroes. It's the next part, and it's its own subplot. And you can do this. There's probably some technical upper limit. It's probably more than the practical limit. But you can basically have relatively arbitrarily neat plots if you want. You can have, you know, the whole epic arc of your whole like 12-year saga in, you know, 6 plot points of, you know, this was year 1, and then you can drill into year 1 and see what's going on under there. You can do the same sort of things with maps. We don't have an example of that in this realm. Well, we sort of do. So, for instance, I'll get to you in just a minute. We've got, you know, here's a map of the region, and you're gonna have to excuse me. I have no idea where Sandpoint is.
Upper
South
left.
and to the right.
South to the right.
Down a little bit.
Down just a little bit.
Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So, hey, let's go to Sandpoint. You know, we're at the region. We're going to go to Sandpoint, check out Sandpoint, and now we're going to get the map of Sandpoint. And then let's say there might even be like an inner map of the cathedral. I don't know if there is. Cross your fingers, hope there is. Let's go into the cathedral. Oh, there's no map. Well, if there was a map, we could click into the cathedral map and get the cathedral map. You could even do like level 1, 2, and 3. Basically, as deep as you want to go. You've got, you know, different worlds even. You know, here's the material plane, here's the continent, here's the local area, here's the, you know, the kingdom. You can go as deep as you want. For certain areas, we even have. Okay. Looks like there aren't any in Rise of the Rune Lords, or at least in this stuff yet. But for really big cities, we even have urban region topics, which are basically for your districts and things like that. For really big cities, you can chunk them up into districts, and then have district maps and things like that.
All right, so
I think I was waiting on one over here. Sorry.
can RealmWorks track progression in plot points? For instance, let's say I have an enemy that's doing some activity in this room or this building, and another event that's going on in this building, and my players can go to one or the other, but whichever one they don't go to is going to be accomplished.
Got it. Okay, so you're talking something more along the lines of something timeline related.
Right, does it
Yeah.
track time?
Got it. Yes, it can. That's the calendar feature. The calendars and times tie together. So which day, what time, different worlds have different systems for, you know, what days of the week, what months, are there even months? The calendar system includes times and is very robust. And that's how we handle recording different times that things happen. We actually have the timeline. So you can see, you know, what things happened in what order, or what things will happen in what order if you sort of planned out the times ahead of time. You know, 6 p.m. if they haven't done this, the bomb explodes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So can you set up reveals so that if they arrive at a place between 2 and 4, this gets revealed, but if they arrive after 4, a whole different situation occurs?
Got it. So that's sort of what I was talking about over here with the all the complex logic you could put in place for automatic conditional reveal. Basically, you'd handle it is in the simple way is to either add notes for yourself so that you, if it gets to that point on the timeline, you go and do the reveal yourself. You can certainly do that. That's just sort of another example of how complex that could get. Of we do conditional reveal, someone now wants time-based reveal. Not that it would be impossible or that we wouldn't want to do it, but it's definitely a big, complex possibility that we want to sort of tread carefully around. But it may be something we end up adding in the future.
You can put 2 sets of encounters in, and one is if A happened and one if B happened.
Right, exactly. And again, the way RealmWorks is set up, different GMs will adopt different methods for doing things. For some GMs, it will be simple enough to just have 2 encounters and have one reference the other in text and say, you know, if they're doing this one, they can't be doing this one. And that'll be good enough for some people and some scenarios, and other people will want more power and more control. I've been taking a bunch from you, so let me bounce back there.
Well, in answering a question, I guess you could have, for the plot point, you could have, say, two subplots, and you just reveal whichever one occurs.
Yeah, that's another way to handle it, for
Yeah,
sure.
The question I had though was, I've been trying to use this a bit, and the most complicated bit is I run a fair bit of pre-gen, Paizo stuff.
Right.
And importing at a level that's better, easier than just copy paste by paragraph and then split.
Got it.
There's a lot of complexity involved. Is there any plans for anything that's a little more automated?
We've been talking about a few things. There's some trouble with automating import. Basically, the problem is we don't always know what format people will want to import to. We could support maybe only the standard format of the way that NPCs are laid out by default. But lots of people will be customizing their layout. We have some ways that we think we can get around that, or at least partially. But then there's also the question of import formats. So,
For my point, the people are, that's Hero Lab, and that's not, I'm okay with that. It's the plot points and stuff like that, the background, that's more what I'm interested in, I guess.
so you're talking text content, or okay, right? That's what I figured. We have some things that we think may alleviate that to some extent. It's going to be a challenge to see if we can get something that's generally useful to enough people to make it worth working on. Because we could spend a lot of time making an import feature that works really well for a small group of people, but doesn't work at all for another group, and then have we really spent our time wisely at that point? It's going to be a balance. We're not going to be able to do the perfect thing for everyone, but getting something that will at least make it easier. We're thinking maybe some kind of like CSV import might be the way to go, just to sort of get content from an external file funneled into Realmworks very quickly. You may have to do some massaging after the fact, but at least you don't have to do the sort of rote mechanical copy paste.
I know it's a tough problem, but for my part,
Right. And honestly, the main way we want to solve it for people who want to do adventure path content is let's have Paizo do it, right? Let's have Wizards do it. Just like, okay, do I want to spend my whole weekend putting this in? Is my whole weekend worth $5 or $10, whatever it ends up being? For a lot of us, the answer will be heck yes, sign me up for that. That's.
if it were available, I would have bought it already.
I
Shut up and
totally
take my
understand.
money.
Yeah. It's definitely a scenario where we didn't want to wait to release Realmworks until everything was ready, because we were already late, and lots of people were, especially our beta users, were finding lots of good use already out of the product, even without that. So we wanted to get it out there, get feedback, iterate as quickly as possible, rather than sort of keep it behind closed doors and develop what we think the perfect solution is without you guys having input. It's really more of an evolutionary process.
One more question, kind of related to Hero Lab import and conditionals and automatic reveals. Are you envisioning something that might get to the detail where if half the party speaks Orc, they can understand a particular piece of text because it's a spoken part in Orc, the rest can't, and then what would you do, or would it be up to the
Like a
GM at that point
language
to say, if somebody tells the rest of the party, then just reveal it to the rest of the party?
Right. That's a good question. I know that comes up often. I'm not exactly sure how we'll be handling that. It's good for me to think about, though, so thanks for that. I know you had a question earlier, and I skipped over you, but.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I primarily run Sci-Fi, and so how easy is it to do the same basic structure over multiple planets and then interrelate?
Got it. Okay. So Realmworks has a number of topics built in. Why don't I switch realms? Let's go somewhere a little less cluttered with fantasy, right? I'm personally a big sci-fi fan. I don't have that database loaded right now, but I'm actually working on entering a certain space opera from a certain well-known film guy. I won't say who or why. I don't want to get sued. But
Was there a war or a trek involved?
there may have been a war, and it may have been to the stars.
Okay.
So. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all of that, so I may end up doing even more of it. There's a little bit of fantasy stuff here, but well, actually, here let's go really crazy. Oh no, I can't. I'm sorry. Can't create a new realm. I need an internet connection for that. You'd need an internet connection for creating a realm, but once you've created it and the server knows about it, like what it's named, and gets notification of that, you can what? You'll need an internet connection to create a realm, but then you can. When I say create, I literally mean just create the blank realm. Then you can add everything you want totally offline. You never have to connect again.
So you're getting like an ID tag or something.
Yes, and the purpose of that is so that if someday you decide, man, this is really cool, and I really want to enable my players to use the cloud, whatever. I want to share this realm. I want to sell this realm. The way our database, our cloud server will know that the realm existed, and we'll be able to hook everything up appropriately. We really want to enable as much offline work as possible for people who don't want to do that stuff, but we also don't want you to be like, oh man, I put 5 years of work into this, and now I can't share it. I changed my mind. Can't I change my mind? We want you to be able to change your mind. So that's the way we handle it currently. So yeah, let's just go and create a planet. So I'm gonna create a planet. We'll call it let's say, and we can add a picture of Earth and description and all that. This is just a sort of built-in set of prompts. If you decide that you want to arrange things differently for any particular topic or any particular category, you can. I can, for instance, let's say, hey, Earth doesn't have a story. I'm just not going to do anything with that. Get rid of that. I don't want it. I want to add, a subsection to the description for. Rob is a big astronomy buff. I found out, and he had all the crazy technical terms from astronomy, like a planet has an albedo, which is a thing, something astronomy people measure in planets. And if you got about that stuff, hey, let's add a subsection for stats. I can do that, and then put stats in there. This was just Earth. If I make more planets, I'd have to do all that again. Realmworks is fully customizable. You can actually go to the back, the sort of shady basement, and modify the actual category for planets, and modify the whole structure. It's very easy. If I wanted to add, my custom
templates.
Yeah. I want to add my own custom subsection and call it stats. Now every new planet is going to have a stats section. You can also add these little prompts that we added, or that we have here, like what's the climate on the planet? Hey, this is an Arctic planet and a tropical planet. It's got both. And hey, let's add lava, because lava planets are awesome. So now it's an Arctic lava tropical planet, which makes 0 sense.
Details.
You can add those sorts of things as well.
When you add content like this and categories and stuff, is this just in that realm?
Yes.
Or is it, okay.
Yes.
And so when you do that too, and you have the content market, it'll have no effect on.
It won't mess up their so. Let's say somebody buys your cool custom sci-fi realm. You're selling it or just sharing it, whatever. It will only affect that realm. If they decide they want to use your realm, it won't mess up their other realms. It's all contained within a single realm. So, and back there, you got my power strips.
Merge realms?
Yeah.
So say you have two things that you like, but you want to incorporate them together.
Yes. Okay, so I understand now. There's definitely going to be ways to merge content from multiple sources, whether they're your own or other people's sources. So grab an NPC from the content market, grab, you know, a tavern that you created from, you know, your last realm, you know, sort of piece things together that way. It won't be merging realms. You'll actually be, there's going to be a that just isn't, it's all the content you have. You might have tons of sci-fi stuff, tons of fantasy stuff, tons of all sorts of things. And when you create a new realm, you'll say, I want to bring in this, and this, and this, and this, and sort of build like sort of a realm mashup at that point.
So, for example, with what you're saying, you could like export a template for a planet, and just could you like, let's say your template there with the stats for that. If I didn't come up with that, could I maybe go on your content site and download that template?
Yes. We primarily think about content sharing as the actual end result of like what planets and whatnot, or cities or monsters do you build. But part of getting a monster that someone made, if they have a custom monster template, you need to get the template as well.
But you could copy that.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure exactly how all that will work, but we know that you need to be able to get the customized structure to support whatever monster they made off that customized structure. So it should be possible to say, I'm going to not share any content, I'm just going to share content structure, so that maybe we'll handle it by you just have one example that uses your template, and then players get your template, or users get your template, other GMs. But that sort of thing is very likely possible.
All right, let's say you have a fully developed fantasy world like you have, that you have one group that you're working with, and you have a fully developed science fiction world in a different realm with a different group you're working with.
Yep.
And somebody in the science fiction realm creates a time machine to go back to the fantasy realm, and the two connect so that the two things.
I was going to ask about cross-realm linking too.
I don't know about that.
And would each realm affect each other? Like, could people from the fantasy realm or the science fiction realm travel to the fantasy realm and screw them up?
If you wanted to do that, you'd sort of have to plan that sort of stuff in advance. You could definitely have a bunch of fantasy stuff and a bunch of sci-fi stuff that's mostly separate with two different groups in the same realm.
Yeah, that'd be in the same realm, but you can't connect the two realms, two separate realms.
There's a good reason for that. Realms are, you can think of a realm in RealmWorks is not necessarily the same as a universe in your game world.
Right. What I'm thinking about is, if it came up later, you know, just suddenly, oh, I need a fully developed science fiction realm, and I got one here, can I cut and paste the whole thing into my fantasy realm, or just link the two?
That you could do. You could take other science fiction content you've already got and import it into your realm, but it wouldn't be the same instance of it as other play group, and that's very important. Like, if you want to run 3 different games of Rise of the Rune Lords with 3 different groups, you need to be able to have them all start from the very beginning. They need to all be able to kill the same bad guy. You know, they basically need to be their own separate instance of the world, so that it's not like, oh, well, we need to go visit this guy, but that other party killed him, even though we weren't supposed to be really playing with that other party. Basically, if you want your parties to affect each other in any way, they need to be in the same realm. A realm is usually, for most cases, a single universe, the fantasy universe, the Star Battles universe, you know, whatever it is. If you want to have some kind of crazy crossover, there's nothing preventing you from importing Rise of the Rune Lords and Star Battles into the same realm, but you sort of have to plan that in advance.
You can't do it later as an afterthought.
You can't do it now. That's one of those things where I feel like it will probably be used by few enough people that it's really difficult to justify us working on that instead of something. It's not like, it's never that something is necessarily like, oh, that's a worthless idea, we don't want to do it. Well, sometimes it is, but that's not a worthless idea. That has some merit. But that means that if we work on that, we don't work on
printing,
printing,
bugs.
Fixing bugs, the web access, things that everybody or lots of people will get use out of, whereas maybe only 1 in 100 GMs might use that. So If we were as big as Microsoft, we could probably have a whole department dedicated to just crossover realms, but we don't.
Get bigger.
Yeah, we're working on that.
It doesn't help.
Honestly, a little bit of that is true. I mean,
It's a different.
you can have a much bigger company and not accomplish that much more.
How would you track player accomplishments? Like, say, my players need to go out and find 7 sacred swords, and I haven't told them this yet, but there's also 3 demons they have to kill. Is there somewhere where I can see a checklist of what they've done, what they haven't yet?
Objectives.
Sure. You can have, let's just say, for instance, let's say a quest sounds reasonably useful for that. You could basically just use a quest as a running checklist of stuff the players have accomplished.
Okay.
And you can leverage reveal for if there are secret requirements or secret impediments. Do that. You don't have to trap everything within a single topic either. You can have a quest that just outlines the top level stuff, like here's subquests of capturing, recovering the 7 swords, and did they slay the 3 demons they didn't know they needed to slay? Did they fail some part, and what are the ramifications of that? There's a lot of power because of all the interlinking that you can do. So that's how you'd end up handling something like that.
So you can create your own category like a quest if you want. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
So you could create something
Yeah,
like.
you can actually create a brand new category from whole cloth. Just like, all right, I want a category where eventually we want to be able to customize icons, but like, let's say, hey, airship, let's use that. That's cool. So this is like air transport. Some like steampunk world where there's all sorts of airships or something, and you can add all your own structure to it. Hey, let's add a section for like propulsion technology. You can add one of those tag pickers. Geez, I should talk about tags. Darn. Well, let me run through that really quickly. So more features that help you do things during play. Realmworks has a full text index of all of the text in your realm. So that's not just names, that's the text within. Am I running over?
No, you're good.
Okay, no problem. I have no concept of time right now.
That's great to the previous people. Right?
Yeah, fair enough.
It's Friday.
So this includes not just the names of things in your realm, but the text within them as well. So even if something isn't named, but what some keywords to search on, like goblins, or maybe you search on someone's last name, it'll pull up their whole family. There isn't much content here, but let's say Arnold is the admiral in my really poorly written fake adventure. So here's Admiral Arnold, but he's also the captain of the Pride of Dragonia, so he gets mentioned there, and he also happens to be he apparently loves sweet corn, I think, so he's at the festival. Exactly, the sweet corn festival, right?
Yeah,
I'm originally from the Midwest, so that came to mind. I don't know. It is what it is, right? You can also filter on tags. So, for instance, just as a very simple example, Admiral Arnold is a human male. So let's say I want to pull up all the human males just for kicks. Gender, let's do male, and we'll do human. Human? Where is human? There we go. Or you could also say all humans who are not male. This is just an example. I don't know that this would be particularly useful, but there's Sally Thistlewood, the captain of the Wolfsport Guard, who's a human female, not a human male. You can add your own tags. So if you come up with your own stuff, of how you want to sort of search and find things in your realm, you can add your own, and then you can add those to the custom categories that you've created for the airship. We can filter airships by propulsion technology. Is it a V8 or a V10? You can do all that sort of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so that's good. I'm glad I said something about that. I'm gonna try to run through my list of all the stuff I forgot to tell you about. So let's see.
Harkening back to his question for a minute though, if I need a category like objective quests and stuff like that, can I visually see what the players have gone through would I be able to use the web view and the linking view to view that so I can see, oh, okay, they've gone through this many, they still got this many to go? Is there anything like that, or any way to do something like that? Because I know with the plot view, you can branch it out, you can show where it's going in the plot, but this would be taking a category that's not plot specific and doing the same sort of thing.
Okay, so you want to take a topic, text content, and do what with it exactly? Just see what the players have done?
Like a checklist?
Like a checklist or a flow chart, going seeing how many of the objectives they've gone through. You know, if I can flag, put a tag in that's done, says not complete, something like that.
Okay.
Where
Be
have
able
they
to
been?
see
What
it.
have they seen? What have they done?
We have certain things that'll let's let me do a little bit of something here.
In order to move on to the next area, they need to accomplish these things.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about sort of like a to-do list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost
I'm
like that.
more of a have done list.
Okay, yeah, to do and have done.
Instead of seeing what they've done in a whole list of stuff that they haven't gotten to yet, what if
So-
you just want to see what they've done?
Right. So there's a number of ways that we could handle that. I gotta think a little bit more on like more of a to-do list or like a checklist of what's done. One of the other. Sorry.
You can do it in the topics. You can just have it so that it's set to reveal. Like once they've done something, you can set it to reveal.
Yeah, you could handle it that way of all the things they. But then if you want to share like with the players, let's say they know the things they need to do, but they haven't done them all yet. That's interesting. I'm not quite sure how we'd handle
In
that.
case of mine, they forget what they've done.
Okay, so that's what I want to get to.
They're too busy murdering, right?
Right.
So-
Exactly.
so
They forget who they stole what from.
That's important. I want to show you this feature. One of the things we wanted to do was make session prep easier, right? I mentioned
Right.
that earlier.
Yeah.
So what happened last time? You're prepping for your session, you need to figure out what happened, or maybe, right at the beginning of play, you want to recap last session, and everybody's like, anybody got any notes? I have a note that says we killed the guy. I don't know which guy. I hope it was the right guy.
What was his name again?
Yeah, what was his name again?
Who has
So
the list of magic items?
let's run a really lightning quick game session here, just to show you a really, really, really simple. So let's say Sally is really nice. Sally is nice. And now we're gonna start a game session. So you'd hit this, and let's say it's Gen Con. We'll just name it something. It automatically records the beginning of the game session. Yep, let's start one. And now we're playing. And hey, you just met Sally. She's a human female. You don't know that she's neutral yet. She might be a friend. She might be a foe. End of the game session. It was really short, but everything works this way with reveal. You reveal some pins. You reveal some plot nodes. All sorts of things. You reveal a stat block. What have you. And then you end the game session. It automatically records the end of the game session. You can put some notes in if you want. I'm not going to. And now, let's check out the reveal history. Okay. This isn't going to be the most amazing example because I didn't have anything revealed beforehand. This is showing everything that's ever been revealed from the beginning of time and the date it happened on. But it also lets you go to the start of the last game session. Now it's going to be the same because I didn't have anything revealed before this. But now you can see, oh hey, we met Sally, and I revealed her, her gender and her race, and hey, she's also nice, and it's doing a little highlight here you might not be able to see very well. But that lets you go to a specific game session and say, here's the bits you learned. And you can sort of skim through. This is something we're going to be enhancing over time as well. But this is where you can quickly go through and recap. Hey, the Duke's a vampire. Here's his base of operations. He's Batman and lives in Star Wars. Whatever. Just to pull it all back to all the goofy jokes from the session. So that is one of the ways that you can, in a number of different ways, have your players not really forget where they're going. You can prep it ahead of time very easily. You don't have to keep notes of that. As you're revealing, Realmworks is keeping those notes for you of what they learned when. When this is hooked into individual player reveal, that'll be part of it as well. Who learned what when? You didn't have to do anything extra to handle that other than just you start a game session and it's automatically recording everything. And then with Player Edition, if players are the kind who want to help out the GM, they aren't always, but they can explore the realm and before the game, read up and see, hey, what did we learn last time? Right now, there's really no way to do that if they didn't take notes during the last session. So now they can. And then, like I said, during play, beginning of the session, you can say, all right, what did we learn last time? And then go through your spiel. There were a couple hands up. Let me take him first, and then, okay, go ahead.
It's basically the science behind a start session. So you got your realm, and you can start and stop sessions. Is it all saved to one? Like the realm had its own multiple start and save sessions?
Yes. Let's see, where is that? Game sessions. So here's my first game session. This hooks into the calendars too, so you can even record the game dates that it occurred on. You know, like which day of first harvest or whatever your calendar has in it. But also the real world date and time. You can sort by all those different things. Right now, there's basically just simple notes. We're going to be sort of enhancing that as time goes on, but it keeps track of all the sessions and all the reveals that happen during those sessions and things like that. So it's something that we can expand upon in the future as well.
So if you want multiple games, like different players, you need multiple realms, and then
Yes. So like I was saying earlier, each realm is its own like isolated play session. If you want a group of players to run through and do Rise of the Rune Lords, kill all the bad guys, basically they get to go through the amusement park and do all the things. You want another group to do that? You start up a new realm. Everything is fresh. All the bad guys have been resurrected. All the buildings they burned down are built back up, and you're good to go again. You'd have to run both parties in the same realm to have them affect each other in that way. But then you could notate on the game session which group it was. If we see a lot of people running multiple groups in the same realm, we might expand that so that you can mark which one is which group instead of just putting it in the notes or the text. But we'll have to sort of wait and see how often people actually do that. You were up first.
Okay, is there, right now, do you store players' data in realm worlds? What I'm wondering is, if the sneak thief slips up and picks your pocket and takes the gem and gets away with it and you didn't know it, and you're a player, you're going to think you still have it in your pouch, and it's going to be on your sheet that you have it, when in effect, you've been relieved of it, you don't know it. Does that track that, or other than just making a note?
Yeah, it sort of depends on exactly how you want to handle that. Having the GM make notes of that sort of stuff is one way of handling it. You can also have Hero Lab portfolios that are up to date but not revealed to people, so you can keep track of exactly the equipment that they have on them. You could keep track of
Which could be different from what they think they have on.
You could have, if you wanted to, a portfolio that is revealed and you've marked it as partially true, with a GM note to yourself that says this is what the player thinks he has, and then another portfolio that's not revealed, and you can mark it as true just to remind yourself that this is what's actually going on in the real world. As the exact
As a ring of invisibility, but really it's something else.
Yeah, exactly. You can get complex like that. This is where different organization styles will be able to use Realmworks in a different way. GMs who don't want to be really particular about things, they can probably just add a note. It'll be good enough for them. A thief stole the ring. He thinks it's a ring of invisibility. It's actually a ring of like astral imprisonment or something. But it's really that. But you could also do it that way. Have two totally separate portfolios. If your game revolves around the players often stealing stuff from each other and not knowing what items they have actually are, which sounds like a fun game, you could do that. For a lot of other games, for the most part, players get to keep their own stuff. They can't steal from other players in the party. There isn't really a whole lot of, with the exception of the odd cursed item, most items, it does what it says on the tin, and you don't need that level of complexity. But again, simplicity on the one hand, so it's easy for the common case. Power on the other hand, so that if you want, you can do that. And I think there was someone here had their hand up that I missed. Oh, maybe he left. Oh, sorry. Oh, maybe it was you. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so I've got a campaign. I'm running this realm, and I'm halfway through it, and that's when I decide I've got another group that wants to play it. So I take whatever, is there like a base version, or can I say, I want to take this campaign and clear out all the reveals and start over again. How does that work? Maybe
Yeah,
clone
so
around?
the way that'll work is there will be like a base version of your realm, and you're going. It doesn't work that way now, but once we get more of the content market stuff, once we get more of the interplayer syncing stuff up and running, basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to make a realm, and you're going to sort of at some point stamp it and say, hey, this is a starting point. This realm is fresh and good to go. And then you sort of, I don't know what word we want to use, but I'm going to start playing in this realm. It basically is going to keep your original version pristine so that you can always start a new campaign at that point. And then, hey, I'm rolling now with this crew, and they're going to do things like I'm going to have to put on the tavern that players burned down the tavern. That's going to be a new snippet that the original version doesn't have because that's something the players did. But in your new realm, it'll have that snippet on it. It'll have the reveals.
What if you're adding more content to your base version?
I'm not exactly sure how we'll handle that. I believe we'll be able to, if you're adding stuff to the base version, pull it in. Because we do need to be able to support like errata and stuff. So that's effectively like your own errata in a way. Like, hey, I forgot to mention that there's this new tavern in town or new NPC in town. So now realms using it will get that update. I think so. Yeah, over there you were after him. So.
The game session thing. Currently, when you end it, it says you can't undo this. Is there a way to?
Does it? It probably
At least
does.
That was the version I was on last week.
Yes, I'm sure. Okay. It can't be undone in the sense of like Control Z, oops. But you can actually go back to the game session and hand edit the dates. Which you,
but that tracks what's revealed during the session. But for instance, when I was doing it last week, there was content that I hadn't actually put in, and I wanted to, the players found it out, so I wanted to have it recorded that it was in that session.
Got it. So sort of retroactive reveal for game
Yeah.
sessions.
Or you made up something?
I mean, they're not using the player edition right now. I'm just telling them what I have, but I would like to have it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, on 1st of August.
The best way to probably handle that is you could create just a dummy content and reveal it, and then later go and edit it, and it would still be revealed.
Didn't really want to do that.
Yeah, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
Thing to do, then go back and try to redo things.
I mean, the other possibility, I
Change
suppose, is
dates.
you just don't close the session until it's time for the next session.
Yeah, that means leaving your computer running that whole time.
Yeah, I think we'll probably want at some point for you to be able to access that stuff at some point somehow in case you accidentally do things, so you can sort of purge it and say, they didn't really learn that. I don't want that to be clouding up the history. Let me make a note of that. Let's see. So retroactive reveal history games.
Make up something on the fly and you can go back and add the details.
Further was, is there a way to reset all the reveals to reveal?
Oh, to what?
Sort of a global unreveal. Reversion.
Can you delete all your game sessions?
Yeah, you can delete game sessions. It doesn't change the reveal status though. You can do conceal all within a topic or within a map. So you're talking about resetting for what purpose? To like start to run.
Eventually when the market goes off, you say, I mean, by that time I've played through it and I want to sell it.
Got it. Okay. I see what you're saying. There's probably going to be a little bit of pain for those of you that are building realms and running them. It's probably fairly easy. I don't want to say that. It's possible for us to implement something like, mass conceal everything in my realm. So that I can prep for content sale. Are you going to Rob's, prepping your realms for content sale That would be a good question to ask him. He might have something in mind already that I'm not aware of. I know that really, really broad-reaching edits to like lots of content they're not technically impossible, but there's some issues with doing that. Especially when we talk about like multiple GMs working in a realm together, or a publisher who has multiple content creators. It opens up lots of possibilities for somebody to hose other people's work, and then we need to worry about things like version control and things that it's not technically impossible, but it is tricky. But we may offer some utilities that can help people who have built big realms before some of these things are available clean them up. It might be an external utility, honestly, something that you can run and just hit your database, clean it up. That's just not part of the tool.
All right. So you said that you can't use a permanent copy and then a run copy currently.
Yeah, right now a realm is just instantly live.
Okay.
Any
so,
changes you make to it, there's no way to like save a state of a realm short of making a backup.
But okay. So what you could do is make it and then make a copy of it.
You could make if you're like, all right, my realm is good to go, I want to start playing. You could make a backup of the realm at that point. There's not going to be any feature though for if you later restore that backup and make some changes.
Yeah.
Pushing those changes from your newly modified backup into your other realm, like that just won't
I understand.
work.
Okay, but I was just thinking you can't. If you ever want to go back, you're totally screwed. There's a way that when you set up initially, you can have a
that you can use backups for that purpose. You sort of get halfway there.
All right.
I think there was someone over here that I ignored earlier. Maybe not. I thought I saw a hand.
Same question.
Oh, okay.
Was the same.
Got it. Okay. I saw some other hands, but I see yours is up.
Can it create a chronology of events, a timeline? If you're assigning dates to game dates to things that your game group has done and a year has gone by game time, can you pull up a timeline that shows what they've done now?
Yes. So right now that's tied, like I said before, to the calendar feature. Calendars are the things that record the date and time in the game world, in the game universe. Just because all sorts of different universes have their own way of telling time, their own way of marking the seasons. There's the Pathfinder calendar, Star Wars has a calendar, 40K has a calendar. We have on Earth multiple different calendars. There's there's Gregorian and there's Julian and there's the Hebrew calendar and there's all sorts of stuff. And when calendars are available, you'll be able to do that. You can add what is a date snippet. So let's say you add a date snippet.
Would you expect that to be out?
Right now, the only one that's available is Gregorian. So, or actually, maybe there are others. No, right now it doesn't do anything. And you can label it. You can add a note to it, and then this topic will appear in the timeline. Here, I'll just add it just for kicks. It should. Maybe it's disabled. Not sure. Maybe it's gotta be a real. Well, it will work. It was working at one point. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But attached to it, whether that's a topic, like events, like when did the war start? When did some pivotal moment in the campaign happen? But you could also add just date to your snippets of PCs burned down the tavern on the state, and then that would appear in your timeline.
But right now, it can't make a timeline even with the Gregorian calendar, right?
It's supposed to be able to. It appears to be busted. I'm not sure why that is. Again, this is a beta build. We may have broken that recently. I believe it's working on what everybody has on the live server. But yeah, again, it's Gregorian only, and most people are not running campaigns with a Gregorian calendar, so sort of limited usefulness.
Better than nothing if you're tracking time.
Yeah, I suppose.
So more on the player view. Right now, is it just like one display, like a whiteboard? It's just one display, and you put up a bunch of windows.
Yeah. Let's see if I can maybe clear up some stuff about players.
I know you mentioned about like you can eventually change icons and stuff. You can customize skins and windows too. Like you want a window to look like a cell phone or something.
That's probably pretty far off. We might do something like that. If you wanted something to be like really immersive, like show a data pad, the best you'd be able to do would actually to have an image that that is a data pad that you made in Photoshop and has the text on it in Photoshop. But then you sort of lose out on, reveal stuff. It's all or nothing. You can't like hide bits of information on the data pad.
Well, kind of like when you hide text or something, you do just images too, or no?
You could actually, so this is actually a good point. You could, even though we were talking about maps, the feature is actually more general than maps. We call them smart images. You could have a data pad image with all the information on it, and then use it like a map and conceal an area to block out, sort of redact, like a letter, like a letter that the CIA doesn't want you to see anything in it. Redact things. It wouldn't be as immersive as like being able to reveal data on the data pad. We might do something like that, but probably not anytime soon. Just because we need people to be able to add custom artwork. Then we need to worry about things like, in the future for like web access, we really want people able to use it on multiple devices. You've got things like, well, will this image work well on a Retina display? You got problems like that. Either it's stretched or it's too small, depending on what you do. Any other questions? I can show you more stuff. There's always a lot more.
Speaking of Retina display, what about Mac version?
Oh, darn it, I walked right into that trap. So the vision of the future for RealmWorks for multi-platform is the web client. We want to basically eventually bring the web client up to speed with what the desktop version will do. At that point, the web client will probably no longer be free if it can do everything the desktop version can do. We had at one point looked into a technological solution for porting our Windows code over to Mac, and it ended up not working. I'm not sure on the specifics. If you're going to one of Rob's seminars, it might be worth asking him. I don't know that he'll know either, though. But it wasn't going to work.
What's that? Would be the answer anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we want you to be able to edit your realm on your iPad too. And if we made a Mac version, we wouldn't be working on an iOS version or whatever new device comes out that everybody ends up using in the next 3 years. Some sort of brain computer or whatever. Let's see. Okay. Let's do that really super quickly. Relationships and relationship diagrams. You can basically. This is another way to link things together, but it's with some meaning behind the links. They're not just generic. You can say that Sally is the parent of Bill. And let's say that Sally thinks he's a slacker. Now we will go to Bill and say that, well, the RealmWorks already knows that he's the child of Sally. And he likes his mom. Sure, why not? Everybody knows it too, so we'll reveal that. Relationships are revealable, so you can conceal what people think about each own. You can conceal who's the parent of so and so, all that sort of stuff, and you can graph that stuff out. It's going to be the simplest family tree ever, but it actually works to parents, grandparents, that sort of thing, and then you can even overlay it with things like what's their attitude towards each other. So Bill likes Sally, and Sally hates Bill.
If Bill's dead, would it show it?
No. How would we handle that?
Change their name to so deceased.
Yeah, you could. This is another scenario where different GMs will handle things different ways. Some people might just write, change his name to dead. That might not be the best way, because that might mess up some of your links. Although you can have multiple aliases for links, so that could still work.
Or maybe use a deceased tag.
There is actually a. There used to be. Oh, maybe it's not on this content yet. There's like a character status.
I was going to say, is there a mechanism for marking him dead? if Bill was an NPC that gets killed, can you mark him dead on the realm?
Yeah, so like, okay, so this character was created before I had this working, but like, so here's a condition tag, and I can say he's, you know, maybe presumed dead or missing, but he's dead. He's dead. Now that doesn't integrate with the relationship tree
And it doesn't
yet, but
change the text to red or something.
right. One of the things we want to be able to do is also filter your. It's not working yet. You'll see it says filtering is not available for this view, but filter diagrams based on the tags that they have. So then you could say filter this list by only living people. So if you've got a family tree, but it's like generations back, and you only want to see the people that you could actually go talk to, you know, speak with dead notwithstanding, then you could filter that list down. You could even make your own tag for willing to speak in Speak with Dead. If you wanted, you could. You really could. And then filter it that way. So yeah, that's relationships just in a very quick nutshell. It's not family trees. It's like I said, you know, residents, who lives in what town. You know, sometimes people can live in, you know, they got their summer home here, and you know, are they found by the blacksmith shop and all that stuff. Let's see, I think we talked about that. I don't know if I showed any stat blocks, but you can import Hero Lab stat blocks and portfolios. So let's go to pull up my portfolio.
Can you open a Hero Lab portfolio within Realmworks?
Yep. There you go. So this just gives you sort of the brief rundown. This is a pretty complex level of 18 characters. Got a lot of stuff up his sleeve. You can also, which is pretty neat, if you've got Hero Lab installed, you can open it in Hero Lab, make changes, and then save it, and it saves automatically back into Realmworks. You don't have to shuffle any files. So if you get a new sword, or you know, lose a level for some reason because your GM's a jerk, you can have it reflect all that. Let's see. You can add audio and video. You might have a video clip from like some movie where, you know, dragon comes and blows away the town, like from The Hobbit or something. Could be nice, and it'll play right in the player viewer. You can add audio for like monster sound clips, things like that. There's private notes. They're pretty simple. I'm not really going to show them, but they're there. Yeah, okay, I think I've actually hit all like the top level stuff that I wanted to make sure I told you guys about. There's a lot more to it, and there's a lot more coming, so I'm open for more questions. We can end early too.
Thanks for watching our Gen Con 2014 seminar, Realmworks 101, Streamlined Campaign Management for GMs and Players. Be sure to explore the other videos on our YouTube channel, and make sure to check out Realmworks at www.getrealmworks.com.